new video. Sorry I've been away for so long, but I just had some stuff to take care of. This is gonna be a little different video. It's gonna be about VBIV, a stock that I think is worth significantly more than what it is at today. I also want to say congratulations to everybody that got on last week's picks, where we hit big. I think we averaged. We did 300% on Zurich and 1000% on TSMP. Those were our two big winners. So I think we averaged more than the stock market. So this video is going to be on VBIV, like I already said. It's not our usual OTC picks. This company has made up a significant amount of my long-term slash short-term portfolio where I put on a significant amount of cash into. There's a lot of the information I'm getting today was analysis written by, I would assume, a good friend now, Chi. His article is written, his research is going to be linked down below. It's worth a read, much more in depth than what I'm going to be offering here today, but this will give the gist of it. So first off, why VBIV is worth 10x? We need to first look at where VBIV is at today. Currently, their market cap is $922 million. Shares outstanding is 242. Insider ownership is about 30%. The cash, that shouldn't be 44 million. It's about 100 million. The burn rate is 12 to 13 million. And most importantly, it's a world-class all-star team. From management to board of directors to the scientific slash commercial advisory board, and even the employees. Like, some of this technology that they have developed just can't be developed by a dumb team, right? It needs to be all-star employees too. So without going too far into it, let's hop into the assets. So VBIV has two main assets which make it more than just your regular penny biopharma, and what make it really a very good merger and acquisition play. And that's kind of what I want to point out here, is why VBIV is worth merging into for other companies. So the first one is their LPV platform. So LPV is a transportation storage technology. VBIV has that allows them to store vaccines for long periods of times in standard room temperature. LPV uses a formulaic technology that can save costs by 20%, allowing greater penetration into developing countries with vaccines, and appears to have been proven to work with many existing vaccines already. It uses a variety of synthetic liquids that reduce stress on the vaccine components and prevent moisture from penetrating it, allowing vaccines to survive at room temperature for up to a year. Today, vaccines require cold chain. This has resulted in making it difficult to vaccinate in developing countries where such infrastructure is not available. So, for example, Africa, they're having a hard time implementing the Myrna vaccine just because a break of cold storage renders the vaccine useless. There's also a problem in third world countries, but like, we're blessed to have enough money to just throw out the vaccine and get another one. So this would be very good. And like I said, third world countries and also first world countries will also use it to save money. Next up is the EVLP platform. So before we understand why the EVLP platform is advantageous, we need to understand the idea behind vaccine creation and why this one is a step above. So the idea behind vaccines in general is to expose your body with germs slash pathogens that help the body develop a certain immune response to what is required to fight off the real virus. Over time, vaccine tech has evolved from providing the user's body with dead slash inactivated viruses to then providing them. So it started off at that, and then it went to providing bodies with a weakened form of the disease, which is like to a weakened form of the disease, to today providing small specific parts of the virus to trigger certain immune responses. This new method improves the potency of the vaccine while lowering risk levels from exposing yourself to the pathogens. So this is where VLP comes from. Virus-like particles are protein structures designed to mimic the organization and conformation of viruses as they occur in nature, but without the viral genome, potentially yielding safer and more potent vaccine candidates. Unlike the first generation and second generation VLP approaches, which have yielded successful vaccines but can be limited, rational, and flexible design, which can mean limited, rational, and flexible design potential, VBI's EVLP platform provides a stable foundation that mimics enveloped viruses and is sustainable for a wide array of vaccine candidates. So basically what they're saying here is EVLP is advantageous because immune responses are comparable to the other, then to be better than natural infection by closely mimicking structure of the target virus. It's also customizable, and I think this is the big thing behind EVLP. It's the ability to rationally design a vaccine by including different antigens and controlling their relative expression. So they're basically able to edit a certain response into a vaccine. So if they get, for example, you'll see in their pipeline, for example, they have glioblastoma. So that's a form of cancer. If they can develop an EVLP version of that vaccine, then the next cancer vaccine is just an edit of the previous one. That's basically the thesis behind EVLP. It's that it's a one size fits all. Once you get it, it's just editing, right? Next off, it's safe. Unlike live or annotated vaccines, which is VLPs cannot revert back to an infectious state, so 100% safe, and it's commercially viable. Manufactured and purified using scalable methods demonstrate high yields and purity. So EVLPs are highly customizable, which allows VBIV to rationally design preventive and therapeutic vaccine candidates by controlling the expression of both surfaces and internal target proteins. Of interest, this works very well with cancer, right? Now combine this with the LVP platform that they have. You have a vaccine which does not need cold storage, 100% safe and customizable. So now you have a really kind of a monopoly of vaccine company, right? So this is what VBIV was founded in 2001. This is kind of the vision that they had, and then it wasn't designed to make profit, yet to be bought out, and that's what I'll explain further along why they're in a good place to get bought out. Actually, very extremely well placed to get bought out. So continuing on with assets, they have a pretty significant pipeline for a company that's mainly focused on their two tech. But all their assets and the LVP, EVLP all have strong patents. All their assets have patents and IP protection. So I think the main thing they have with their assets is not sure it's to make money selling the vaccines, but it's to show that the VLP and it's to show that the EVLP really does work, and just to prove really the potency of how well it will work. And then if it does work, then it significantly increases the valuation of VBIV. But yeah. So the bullish thesis behind VBIV, right? The core bullish thesis behind VBIV is a company that has high potential value assets across chronic HPV, immune therapy, CMV plus tumor, therapeutics, infectious diseases, for example, COVID, the Zika flu, and also have platforms such as EVLP and LVP. Um, so in general, it's a very strong company for just being under $1 billion, whereas to make basically developing a drug costs $1 billion. So just off that itself, you have a significantly 4 to 5x of the current value is like the company's worth at least 4 to 5x of the current value. Two, with strong management leadership in the board of directors and advisory boards, along with two of the best biotech firms in the industry, ARC and Perspective, who both have high stakes here as insiders, which collectively own 33% of the company, and this has been going on for multiple years. VBIV has also demonstrated its EVLP platform works better than the existing protein platform for equivalent With COVID trials commencing soon and being the Canadian equivalent of Moderna, based off the NRC and Canadian COVID task force connections, it is likely that they will see supply agreements for Canada, and for Canada that will drastically raise valuations from current levels, i.e., supplying global governments with their single dose, temperature stable, scalable vaccine. So this is kind of where pan corona, because coronavirus vaccines won't end after everybody's vaccinated. It'll be given to all newborns and stuff like that. VBIV will be the first to go to, so it'll be monthly sales or yearly sales, sustainable sales. Five, the odd increase in institutional ownership and trading patterns and various other signals indicate a high potential for merger and acquisition activity, or even a big move to the upside off certain big news. Kind of what it's showing, but I'll explain that later on. So, the board of directors. The company has seen numerous additions to its board of directors, such as Blaine McKee, Joanne Cordero, and Domaine Braga. The former two are noteworthy for being Gill's partners in crime in selling Shire to Takeda and have significant merger and acquisition experience. The latter is a well-known flu vaccine Sanofi exec who retired in 2015. So I'll explain why in this section why kind of the board of directors and the management team really indicate that VBIV is going to get bought up. It kind of puts in a 90% chance because all these guys I'll show later on all have a very good history of selling companies for a very good deal, very good exit strategies, you could say. So yeah. So the management team or the board of directors, the first main guy I want to highlight is Steve Gills. He's very impressive. He founded and built Immunix, pretty much established a biotech firm in Seattle, as well as investing in GM-CSF, anti-CD20, and TNF inhibitors, which led to Amgen acquiring them for $16 billion in 2001. Doesn't end there. He then went on to found and run Corixa with Stephen Reed, which was acquired by GSK for $300 million in 2003. He recently assisted in the sale of Shire to Takeda in May 2018 for $62 billion, setting records for the largest ever Japanese biopharma merger conducted. After which he joined Takeda's board of directors. Shire also sold its oncology business for $2.4 billion in April 2018. Basically, he's the strongest person on this team of rock stars, being a luminary from a science/R&D perspective, a master and a very clear master in merger and acquisition deals and negotiations. And probably the key reason why everybody believes in this company is probably because of him, because of his long experience in seeing vision. Next up is Damien Baraga. To give a short note about Damien Baraga, he is what's kind of very special about him is his expertise in flu vaccines, especially pandemic responses like to the 2009 swine flu pandemic and other seasonal shortages, where he had great ties to the CDC along with various other children's groups vaccines. Driving Hep B vaccination seems an odd choice given the opportunities he likely has and the greater priority of COVID-related work right now. So basically saying, by him taking on VBIV as a client, it shows it shows that he really believes and he sees something here, because given his expertise, it wouldn't be hard for him to find well-paying jobs in other companies. So number 3, Blaine McKee. He too is expertise in merger and acquisition. Since Blaine was at Genozyme, where he worked from the ground up from 1996 to 2011, he became the global head of their BD pipelines, where he did acquisitions from Bayer for cancer assets and helped sell the company, where Genzyme was acquired in 2011 by Sanofi for $20 billion. He was also there selling Shire's oncology business for $2.4 billion in April 2018 and likely assisting in the sale of Shire to Takeda in May 2018 for $62 billion. So that again showing really how amazing this team is. So Joanne Cardiro, primary expertise 2 is merger and acquisition. Joanne joined in April 2019, becoming the second major board of director addition in a short period of time. She has a career checkered with various merger and acquisition activity in pretty much every company she has been in, where I believe she has gained solid experience in how to manage merger and acquisition HR from the HR aspect. To give a rundown of her resume, Sybase from 1991 to 1997, she was a senior HR director where here and likely involved in integration of the numerous acquisitions which included PowerSoft, Micro Decisionware, and Power AMC. Avid from 1998 to 1999. She was an HR director here, and the company had 2 acquisitions, Softimage and Newstar. Covenesis from 2000 to 2004, Saradine from 2004 to 2007, Shire from 2011 to 2019. All these 3 companies where she was at all had major acquisitions during the time she was there. So basically what's notable here is that every person on the board of directors is very good at either selling flus, getting sales. They're well run. Some of these guys are literally gurus who are the best at merger and acquisition deals. And having one of these guys in your board of directors team is enough. But having multiple of these merger and acquisition experts really shows that the buyout sentiment for this company is a lot more than people expect, right? Because these, like, if you have one guy that is really well known in doing merger and acquisition deals, that raises the probability of a merger acquisition deal just a little bit more. The more you have, the more you raise it. So I feel like if all of these guys see that they could sell this company for a lot more than what it is, then really it's just a waiting game, right? Because having 4 people, 5 people all thinking the same thing, it's a very high probability of it actually happening. Also, Perspective and ARC and other major institutions like State Street all have such bloated positions that they know the only way they're going to get out is with a merger and acquisition deal. So yeah, so this is what I'm going to explain here, the merger and acquisition thesis. So the first, there's 4 points of why VBIV will be acquired. The first one is VBIV is worth acquiring. It's a good acquisition for its platform, IP, and pipelines and talent. Their platform assets are diverse and very valuable to vaccine manufacturers and vaccine companies and pharma companies in general. VBIV is a company with an excellent team filled with the best in the entire industry at vaccines and R&D. They're also in an appealing position where they primarily need help scaling. So mainly paying for trials and scaling to sell products, something a buyout partner will gladly handle to get many new pipelines approvals and revenue streams. Second off, VBIV is actually interested in being acquired. VBIV has begun focusing on preparing for a sale for the last 2 to 3 years and is likely pursuing negotiations actively. I'll explain later on how the insider transactions show that they want to be acquired. As mentioned in previous sections, they appear to have started to hire more management team execs, whether in the board of directors or in the company, to increase their merger and acquisition capacity, experience, and connections. It's also worth noting that the combined value of all the deals done with either the company's team or with the companies they founded exceed $100 billion. Company entered into K2H Health Ventures loan right after Perceptive loan terminated naturally, implying the desire to get sales-side advisor support. Noteworthy as an agreement alludes to license deal in 20. So this kind of alludes to a license deal, foreshadows a license deal in 2021 to quarter one to quarter two. Additionally, for institutions like Perceptive, liquidation of the entire stake is and the company is difficult without a merger and acquisition exit. Third, multiple buyout partners are likely interested in either licensing. So the list I have is Pfizer, Gilead, Merck, GSK, Sanofi, CSL, and Takeda, which all at least need one or all three of the platforms that VBIV has to offer. Lastly, merger and acquisition is nearly likely, or it's in the near term. This is huge because neither did any insiders, including Perspective, take profits on the 5-year highs at the prices where many of them are over 1,000% profit margins on their cost basis. This is very odd given Perceptive has typically aimed to get 300 to 400% historically, and they could have de-risked the entire investment if they just sold 9 million shares. Also, with COVID trials imminent and possibility of Canadian supply agreement coming with them, given the company is equivalent to Canadian Moderna in terms of government relations, any bidders will have to risk valuation rocketing from COVID-related value and hype being priced in once VBIV demonstrates success in pan-corona movement. So there. VBIV didn't want to be the first ones to the corona vaccine race. They wanted to be the last ones with the best vaccine. And this is done to the LVP, EVLP, and the strong team of people, right? So their idea is giving you the monopoly of a coronavirus vaccine, which will play, because pan-corona is basically vaccines given to the younger kids, which will lead to more, probably in the long run, more money than they would have made from just selling to the first batch. And also large increase in institution positions over the last year, with extra high additions specific to quarter three, largely by firms to pursue merger and acquisition oriented investments. So I also want to talk about insider ownership and activity. The timing of the shares purchase is what's very interesting, and is showing that they're really getting ready for a buyout. For example, there have been, so when dealing with merger and acquisition, there's a Rule 16B, which limits insiders of a company who buy and sell shares within a 6-month period from retaining profits, as they are at risk of having acted on insider information. Typically, this warrants a 6-month period between buying and selling. Keeping in mind the blackout periods, what is notable about these periods is insiders added significant shares between the first and second blackout periods. So between before each blackout period was about to start, institutions and board of directors and all those guys would add crazy amount of buys, big buys inside, just load up. So Rule 16B does not apply for grants and so this is important because management themselves doubled their grants as a bonus to themselves. Even though stock price has been coming down, they decided to give themselves a bonus in grants and not in stocks, just showing like they know something is up and this is their only legal way of getting more shares. So the two blackout periods were between December 2018 to December 2019, and the other one started in October 2019 and still hasn't ended. And this is really showing emergent activity deals going on, or this is a blackout period just foreshadowing there's going to be a merger/acquisitions. So today, so quarter four, BlackRock added 1 million shares. So this year, Blackout added 1 million shares. State Street added 15.6 million shares, and Perceptive didn't add any. Perceptive Perspective now owns 50.4 million shares. State Street owns 20 to 23 million shares. ARK owns 12 million shares. Viking Global owns 8.8 million shares. So just the top three buyout, these top three, Perspective, State, and ARK, all look for biopharmas, or very promising biopharmas, and just seeing these three having um, significant um, significant amount of shares shows that their exit strategy is easy, right? Because they don't want to risk too much, especially with a small, like a penny bio stock. So just showing that their positions are not too bloated to just sell. So they also are betting on a buyout. Lastly, the valuation. So what is VBIV valued at? It is clear that VBIV is worth a lot more than $1 billion, or less than $1 billion. What's the value? That's the market cap right now. VBIV assets are truly challenging to evaluate, both because they have demonstrated best-in-class monotherapy potential, but because the sales profile is so compelling for majority of their assets that a fair valuation and probability of success discount still reveals a massive valuation potential in the $10 to $15 billion range if assets demonstrate further probability of success from the further data. For example, COVID vaccine for Marna is making about $15 billion, or Pfizer, I can't remember which one, making about $15 billion from sales. So this one would just knock, having the pan coronavirus vaccine would just knock this valuation across the park. It'd be probably double. Also, VBIV has some of the smartest minds, and intellectual capital is an asset in and of itself. Their team has given this team has over $100 billion worth of merger and acquisition deals closed between them. I feel there's a good odds they can negotiate a strong exit deal for themselves without involving upfront cash. Okay, so hopping on to market beat. As you can see here, insiders have just been buying, buying, buying. We're not even seeing, like, rarely any selling. Um, so yeah, so this is, and while this buying is happening, the stock price is coming down, and a lot of the people that bought here are up significantly and still haven't sold. I think, yeah. So and then we can also go to insider trades, and um, as you can see, it's only been buys, right? So just showing the management is confident in a successful exit. And so that's just kind of what I wanted to show. And we can also go to the chart, and you can see um, how the stock price has been coming down while institutions have been adding. So it's kind of getting pinned. Institutions know it's going to exit. They're going to exit with VBIV's worth at least 10 billion dollars. So they know, as if they can keep the price down, they can load more and have a better exit, just make more money, right? So they're greedy at the end. And Perceptive didn't sell any shares. They have it from 0.5, and they didn't sell any shares at 6, just showing that if VBIV was given a $10 billion valuation, it would be a little over $30 a share, the buyout. And if they're giving a $15 billion valuation, you can do the math, but it would be about 45 to $50. So yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say, and I hope you guys make money off this. I know this is a long video, but it was just my way of giving back. Um, yeah, thank you. I hope you guys liked the video, and peace.